Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Surprise Jab Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Ruger, surprising with new topics every single week and jabbing you with your daily dose of UFC, and the wait is over. We are back with a brand new UFC event. UFC Nashville goes down this upcoming Saturday. Derek Lewis welcomes Talishon Teixeira to the main event picture with only his second UFC fight. Got a lot of other bangers on here. Wonderboy Thompson back in action, Calvin Kattar, Nate Landwehr, Chris Curtis, Jake Matthews, a lot of notable names. We're going to be going through all 12 matchups. I think we're at 12, might be 13. Actually, I think it's 12 matchups as of right now, bearing any pullouts that we get in the next 3 days. But yeah, we have our full card prediction and preview on today's episode. As well, we have a full movie review of Jurassic World Rebirth. I just watched it last night. I'm going to be giving my official thoughts on the film and a ranking. Don't want to miss that. As well, you have two WWE PLEs this weekend, Saturday night's main event in Atlanta, Georgia, and the all-women's Evolution pay-per-view. We're going to be dropping our predictions and what we think will go down at each of those events. But as well as always, we will kick off the episode with some new UFC fights. But you know what? It's been a good summer so far, guys. My job hunt still continues. We still are looking for a gig of some regard. I mean, I'm sure I could get a part-time job or anything, but I really need to start a business. I know I keep saying that, but I just need to take action. I don't even need to defend my statements. I am in looking for that big idea, and it will come to me. And you know what else is going to come to me? All of these thoughts I'm about to give on the Surprise Jab Podcast today. So let's not waste any more time with our intro. Let's get right on into it with some new UFC fight. So, we have 9 new UFC fights to talk with you today. First up, UFC flyweight action at UFC Vegas 108 on August 2nd as Felipe Bunez will be taking on Rafael Estevam. Rafael Estevam is replacing Andre Lima. Andre Lima is supposed to take on Felipe Bunez, but instead it will be the 13-0 Rafael Estevam, who has wins over Jesus Aguilera and Charles Johnson in the UFC. This guy is legit. Those are two good names to have on your resume through your first two. Felipe, he's 1-1, holds a win over Jose Johnson, which isn't that impressive. So if it's up to me, Rafael Estevam is going to move to 14-0 and could be a force in the men's flyweight division. That should be a fun fight on the prelims. Moving to UFC Shanghai, August 23rd. Song Ki-Dog back in action. The 11th fight. UFC veteran will be taking on the 2-fight UFC veteran in Kiefer Crosby. Kiefer's 0-2 in the UFC. Pretty lackluster defeats too. I know he was submitted in, I believe it was Australia last year. Actually, no, that was in 2023. I can't remember who he lost to, but I know he was knocked out by Brian Battle in, where was it? Oh my goodness, where was it? Great Britain? Oh, no, it was in Paris. Goodness sakes, they haven't been to Great Britain in a minute, actually. They should. But yeah, Kiefer Crosby back in action. Song the Jade Assassin Kenan also back. This will be his 31st professional fight for Song Kenan, so we may have to ride with him, especially with it being in China. So interesting matchup there. I've always loved when they have fighters from that region fighting on that card, and for the Chinese card, they should absolutely load it up with notable Chinese fighters. UFC Paris has a new matchup September 6th as Modestas Bukauskas gets the biggest fight of his career, which I guess you could say is Khalil Roundtree, but we're going to go with it being this man, Paul Bear Jew Craig. Paul Craig back in action, light heavyweight division. He's had some rough luck. Hasn't been able to find his way at middleweight, moves back up to light heavyweight, and gets a no contest against Rodolfo Bellato. We thought they would run that back, but I think they just want to move on from that, so they're going to have him take on Modestas Bukauskas. And Modestas been on a little run as of late. He's on a little 3-fight winning streak, might even be at 4. Dude's been absolute on a killer, recently beat Ion Kudalaba. Been loving what I've seen from him. And with an 18-6 record and a win here, he could be looking at a ranked opportunity coming up next. That will be going down at UFC Paris, and if I think that this UFC Paris card is going to be as good as it is, this fight could be on the main card, dare I even say, on the prelims if it's that good. Also, going down in the heavier divisions, you could say, UFC Abu Dhabi, July 26th, has a new matchup as Martin Buday, who I apparently was booted from the rankings. I don't know if that is accurate or not. I would hope they wouldn't have booted my boy Martin Buday. Let's check. No, he's ranked number 14. What the heck? But the number 14th ranked heavyweight Martin Buday welcomes the 5-1 Marcus Almeida. Buchecha is his nickname, to the UFC. The 35-year-old is from Brazil, and he's making his UFC debut you know what? And we're going to root for him to win because we need new heavyweights. They've been trying to break in heavyweights, and it's just been absolutely so hard to do. But you know what? If there's anyone that's going to beat a new up-and-comer who looks like he's built, looks like he's a good fighter, it's going to be none other than Martin Buday. Martin Buday was on a crazy win streak before it was snapped against Shamil Gaziev. So we'll see if he can get things going here. I'm pretty sure he will, but interesting stuff around. UFC Abu Dhabi has a short notice step in as Ramazan Temuriyov is out against Asu Almabayev. Instead, stepping in will be Jose Ochoa. Jose Ochoa coming off that nasty knockout of Cody Durden. They were like, hey, let's give him an opportunity. Let's give him a shot. And a shot he will have against the number 9 ranked Asu Almabayev. Asu was on a crazy winning streak before running into Kamel Cape, which I guess isn't too bad of a defeat in the main event. But yeah, Asu Almabayev should get through Jose Ochoa, but I'll have to watch the punching power because after looking what he did to Cody Durden, that boy hit super hard. Women's bantamweight action going out at UFC Vegas 109 August 9th as Jocelyn La Pantera Edwards, the number 14th ranked women's bantamweight, takes on Priscilla Cachoeira. Both these women coming off a beautiful knockouts. I mean, Jocelyn Edwards TKOing Chelsea Chandler in the first round was insane. And how about Priscilla Cachoeira's knockout of Jose Nunez this year in round number 1? That one was even nastier. I love this. Now, you would think someone's going to sleep, but honestly, I could see this being a 3-round decision. I'm torn, though. I'm really torn on this one. Both have had 10 fights in the UFC. Better record to Jocelyn with 6-4 to Priscilla's 5-5. But the punching power was there last time, and we'll see what can go down. But Priscilla Cachoeira is stepping in to replace Maribel Silva, which does suck for Jocelyn Edwards. She was getting a shot at a top 10 opponent. Imagine if Priscilla Cachoeira comes in and takes her ranked spot as well. UFC 319, this fight is now official. Welterweight division, Jeff Neal, Carlos Prates, number 11, number 13th ranked welterweights. Yeah, we knew that this was probably going down, but it is now officially official, if you want to put it like that. Prates looking to bounce back from his defeat to Ian Gary, which honestly wasn't too bad. He almost rallied in the 4th and 5th rounds, but yeah, just didn't do much through the first 3. Might add some jitters. I don't know if he was injured or anything, but this is a great bounce back opportunity as he takes on Jeff Neal. I can't remember the last thing Jeff Neal did. I'm going to be honest. I have no idea the last thing Jeff Neal did. He's kind of fallen into the realm of irrelevancy, and at 35 years old, it's going to be a make or break time in his career. But Carlos Prates, we love him. We know him. We'll probably be riding with him in that one. And that one should be on the main card for UFC 319. UFC Noche, new matchup, flyweight division. Edgar Cerrez finally back as Edgar Cerrez as he takes on Alessandro Costa. Both men are 2-2 in the UFC, and with all the potential in the world, they just have never really been able to get past it. Edgar Cerrez, he'll pick up a win over Daniel Lacerda, and then he'll go out and he'll lose to Joshua Van, and then Alessandro Costa will go out and beat Jimmy Flick and then lose to Amir Albazi. So you never know what you're getting with these guys, and I think the fact that they're matchmaking these two up against each other is amazing matchmaking. It'll be Mexico versus Brazil in San Antonio, and if it's up to me, I might ride with Edgar Cerrez. That dude has a 100% finish rate, so we'll see if he keeps it intact. And here we go. Here's a big one. UFC Noche. That is right, in San Antonio, Texas, September 13th. Women's bantamweight action as Alice Pereira, the Golden Girl. That is right, the younger sister of none other than Alex Pereira, who is a 19-year-old, insane. Takes on Montserrat Rendon. Montserrat 6-1 in the UFC, 1-1. She's not bad. She's not bad at all. And the fact that they're throwing in the 6-0 19-year-old just because she's the sister of the great Alex Pereira, I mean, I absolutely love it. So we'll be looking forward to that one. If there's ever a way you want to keep someone interested in the women's bantamweight division, it's when you bring in the younger sister of one of the greatest light heavyweight champions of all time. Not the greatest, but definitely up there for all time. But with that, we move on from new UFC fights to an official movie review of what people were saying would be the blockbuster of the summer, Jurassic World Rebirth. Was it? Well, I'm going to say no. Jurassic World Rebirth wasn't bad. Anyone who says it's bad is just straight up lying to you. But the 52% Rotten Tomatoes rating, the 6.3 out of 10 rating on IMDb, yeah, I agree with. It's a 5.5 out of 10 movie for me. I definitely expected more from this. I'll say that for certain, that there was a certain level of action I was expecting, and I just didn't really get that. And it kind of throws you in right off the bat with this research facility on this island, and it's really I don't even know if it was a 10-minute sequence, but you don't really have time to build anything. You really don't, and basically the entire shutdown happens because a Snickers thing, spoiler warning, I would say Snickers thing goes into a door and it gets sucked into the door and then it shuts down the whole facility. It was kind of like, what? That can happen? And then, someone dies from this mutant monster, and yeah, that's how they started the film, which was a good start, but it was just kind of rushed. Then we get into things, and a lot of dialogue, a lot of building. It's your typical movie getting into things, but then it was just a building, and they were on this boat. When they're on the boat, it feels like it's forever. It feels like they're on this boat forever. And then I didn't know there was a family they were introducing. I had obviously seen the clips in the trailer of like the T-Rex attacking them on the raft, but I didn't know if that was a flashback or anything. But no, they introduced this family element of things, which is certainly more so for kids or something, but it was just dragging out forever. And, they get on the island, and, it's not very intense to start. Actually, it is intense when they reach land, but there's just so many, plot holes I'm just confused about. They're getting into land, they're going through everything, and, then you kind of get to maybe some action points. You kind of, introduce the villain. It's a pretty predictable guy that's going to be the villain, and yeah, the climax of the movie is probably the best part of the movie, and yet it kind of just is over, just like that. So it was very anticlimactic in that sense. Now, I did like the cast. I will say Scarlett Johansson was good. She was good, but in kind of a role like this, I could kind of see she works really well as Black Widow, but for this, it was just kind of like, I wasn't sold she's like this legendary mercenary, if I'm being honest. I really wasn't sold on that. Jonathan Bailey, he performed great as a doctor in this. Mahershala Ali was amazing in this. Rupert Friend as the villain was good. You even had Ed Skrein in here. If you know who Ed Skrein is, he was the villain from Deadpool. Funny enough, so that was pretty funny. And yeah, you kind of just had this cast of family. I was trying to see who the dad was. I thought he might have been I thought he was El Chapo from Narcos, but I was quickly mistaken. No, he's Manuel Garcia Rulfo. What's he from? Let's check movies and TV shows. He was in A Man Called Otto, The Magnificent Seven, Six Underground. Yeah, I haven't seen any of that stuff, but you know what? It is what it is. I will say the dinosaur deaths were very underwhelming. And, that's terrible to actually admit, oh my gosh, watching dinosaurs eat people. But it's just, I expected more. I wouldn't even say gore, I would just say excitement. And they definitely kind of nerfed the mosasaur in this, because that had been the, scary creature in the first movie and the second movie. And for this, it's just kind of like, oh, it's here, whatever. So I don't know, kind of let down by the movie. It kind of just ends. I could see some flashback scenes they did, kind of like throwbacks to the first film, like the original Jurassic Park. But if they are making this into a new trilogy, it just isn't going to hit for me. I think you need to pivot. I think you need to do something exciting. I want to see more. They did add, there were scary elements here, which I liked. There were scary elements, there were tense elements, but there were also things, there's this tentacle-ish lizard or creature thing in the water, and they just never touched on what that was, and I figured that'd be some big reveal later on. And spoiler warning right here, Mahershala Ali is literally was about to be eaten, and then they just cut the camera, his light flashes out, and they're like, oh, he dies, and then, miraculously, out shoots a flare, and he's alive. I hate when they do that in films. I don't like when they kill characters, but you need to kill characters. You really do. It really adds this emotional aspect to things, and I feel like movies are just afraid to do that. And also, I absolutely despise, when the family is being chased by a T-Rex, and the T-Rex is really, made to be the dumbest creature ever. It should have eaten probably each and every one of them. So, Jurassic World Rebirth, it's getting a 5.5 out of 10 for me. Certainly not something I'm recommending anyone to go watch this summer. There are good movies coming out. Superman, I'm not going to see that, but maybe I'll watch it when it comes out. Fantastic Four, First Steps, I'm definitely going to the theater to watch that, but I don't know. Jurassic World Rebirth, it just didn't have that big feel. I remember Jurassic World, had this immaculate feeling to it, and they've just never been able to recapture that. It's they brought it back with Jurassic World, and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was alright. Jurassic World Dominion was so just bland, and this was just a tinge better than Dominion. I'll say this was just a tinge better, but I don't know. In terms of ranking it amongst all the movies, this was the 7th Jurassic World movie. It might be 6. Might be 6, potential for 5, but that's about as much as I can give it for that. But let's pivot from the dinosaurs to the ring. That is right. Instead of bouncing skulls on teeth, we're going to be bouncing skulls off of the WWE ring, as we have 2 events going down this weekend. And first off, Saturday night's main event, number 40, goes down in Atlanta, Georgia at the State Farm Arena. The tagline is "No one spared, everyone speared." Yes, it is Goldberg's retirement match. I am dead serious. That is right. Goldberg is still going at it, and now he's going to officially retire. And we've been waiting for more fights to be announced, but as of Wednesday, 7/9, that's right, July 9th, Wednesday, the event is Saturday, at 10:45 a.m., there have been only 3 fights announced. 3 matchups, I should say, not fights. But, we've just been waiting on something to happen, and nothing has taken place. Nothing has taken place, and so I guess we just go with 3, and maybe they'll announce some stuff on SmackDown. Maybe we get some segments, or maybe all these matches are long. I don't know, but we will give our predictions for these 3 matchups we do have, and then we'll talk about the Evolution event going down Sunday. So, out of the 3, just trying to predict what I think the match order will be, we'll start with Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre, and they're at an interesting spot now. Randy Orton is coming off of that loss to John Cena. What was he doing? Has Randy Orton been doing anything since he lost to John Cena? Oh, he was the runner-up in the King of the Ring to Cody Rhodes. That was interesting. Drew McIntyre just returned last week, and these 2 have made a match. And is this match going to do wonders? Yes, Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre will deliver no matter what, but it's just very quick. Very rushed, and I haven't had any time to actually get invested in a feud of any regard, but something tells me that these guys are going to be winding up in the WWE Championship picture post-SummerSlam. So in a month's time, post-SummerSlam, I feel like you're going to be seeing these guys in the title picture, in the mix somehow. So for this one, I do think Drew McIntyre needs to win this. Randy Orton can eat losses, but they just keep burying Drew McIntyre over and over and over again. He just always seems to lose. I would love to see him actually win and beat Randy Orton in this matchup. There's not much you can do here. Saturday night's main event, it's a 7-9 show, I believe. Maybe it's 8-10. I believe it's more 7-9. It's 2 hours. Matches are not longer than, I'm trying to think of the last few. The longest we've had, they gave us a 13-minute match, a 11-minute match, which was super rare, 16-minute match back in January. That's about as much as you're going to get. Truly, I'm telling you, that's about as much as you're going to get when it comes to these matches. So they could give them 15 minutes. We'll have to see. But if this is only a 3-match card, then I'm sure they're going to give them much more time, because these 2 would need some time to actually get a match going. But Drew McIntyre over Randy Orton is my prediction. After that, LA Knight versus Seth Rollins. This feud is red hot. Seth Rollins' new faction, which doesn't have a name. They really need to find a name for their group. Every good group needs a name. I think they're just waiting and kind of testing what they should go with. But LA Knight is in the main event picture. He's in with the big boys now, and I am absolutely loving it. I don't see a world that he really beats Seth Rollins, except for a world where we have Seth Rollins lose here, and that just kind of builds more towards him cashing in at SummerSlam and becoming the WWE champion. So that's something you could do, but with how Seth Rollins has been performing on Raw with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed always in the mix, I'm definitely probably going to see Seth Rollins getting this one time, but I'm excited to see this matchup. I really am. Penta and Seth Rollins this past week was absolutely amazing. This has been such a fresh new thing that the WWE is doing. We haven't had a faction like this, and they've tried it with Seth Rollins before, back in 2019. Didn't hit at all, but this faction is hitting. And LA Knight, who doesn't love a little LA Knight? The crowds love LA Knight when he's performing, and I think he'll perform in this matchup here. If there's a matchup that I hope gets 15-ish minutes, it would be this one for sure. And with that, we will pivot. And actually, you know what? We'll pivot before the main event. I do want to say that Roman Reigns might be returning here to mess up Seth Rollins, maybe cost him. So you could see LA Knight lose because of that. No, win because of that. But I don't know. You never know with Roman Reigns what you're going to get with him. But they are teasing his return. So I could see his return going out Saturday to main event. So this could be like a 20-minute segment, just to kind of throw that out there real quick. But let's get into the main event real quick. Like I said, 3 matchups, very quick, unless they drop some stuff Friday, which I hope, which they did last time. They dropped 2 matches the day before. But Gunther versus Goldberg. And this is going to be good. Crowd has been loving this feud. It's a good final match for Goldberg to go out of. Here's the thing. I'm gonna be very interested to see what the timestamp is when this matchup begins, because Goldberg is good for about 5 minutes. Goldberg is good for a 5-minute match, especially being over 50. I don't even know if he's close to 60, but he is certainly up there in age, and I'm very curious to see what they do here. But I'm definitely going with Gunther to win this one. There's not really a world Goldberg can win this. If it's his retirement match, it makes no sense for him to win and then vacate it. Like, I think that's just obvious, but I do think they're going to tease us a spear here or there, and I'm just more curious to see if Goldberg, they do a pass out, or if Gunther hits some type of move of some sort, but I would like to see an outclassing. But WWE historically loves to have veterans lose on their way out. I'm thinking of the Kurt Angle one. It's one of the more famous ones. The Undertaker, if you will, in all reality, basically lost on his way out. The AJ Styles one does not count. Shawn Michaels, you could even say. It's just something they like to do. Ric Flair, you could bring up, but I don't know. Gunther, Goldberg, it should be very, very good. It's a good main event. It sells tickets, it draws names. I think the main question is, where do we go from here with all of these individuals that we've just mentioned? Because with Gunther retaining, he'll be going into SummerSlam as your champion. With LA Knight, Seth Rollins, their feud will probably continue, but if Roman Reigns gets in the mix, he might throw some pins and needles in. Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, where are they going to go from here? So, Orton, Drew McIntyre, I think the inevitable thing is Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are going to be filming a movie post-SummerSlam, so I don't know how they're going to fit into with Raw, SmackDown, PLEs, and performing on this movie set. So I could see Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes being just kind of putting a pin in it. We kind of get this heel Randy Orton starting to build up, and then you get Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes down the line. What people are bringing up is Drew McIntyre versus John Cena would be a fantastic feud to do in a Clash at Paris. It would be a perfect main event. It would be just, they always love to have Drew McIntyre main event these Clash of Paris cards. They had him do it against Roman Reigns, and it was amazing. They had him do it against Damian Priest, and it was amazing. And here we have him against John Cena. It would be utterly amazing. And they're both heels. And they both, Drew McIntyre isn't your stereotypical heel because he's a justified heel. He has justification for his actions. He's not just inherently evil like some of the heels and villains the WWE cooks up. No, Drew McIntyre always has a reasoning behind why he does something. So I think the move from here is Randy Orton might just float in and out of SmackDown and Raw relevancy. Might pick up a minor feud with, I honestly have no idea. Maybe he gets mixed in with Seth Rollins' faction or something. Maybe he gets recruited by, Jimmy Uso and Jacob Fatu to take on. Maybe he's in War Games. I don't know. But I think Drew McIntyre versus John Cena at Clash in Paris is where we pivot from here. LA Knight, Seth Rollins. It's tricky with LA Knight what we're going to do. It really is. Because LA Knight could challenge John Cena. At Clash in Paris, he could challenge him at Crown Jewel. I think Crown Jewel, John Cena and LA Knight would be fantastic. And with John Cena right now, it's potential. There's potential with him to lose. With Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, there was never potential he was going to lose. With John Cena, he could lose the belt at any single moment. He just isn't. So if LA Knight can come out on top of this feud looking good, we could get him into some title matchups and even potentially give him the WWE or World Heavyweight Championship. Because also, with Gunther, I was going to throw out the name CM Punk, but LA Knight could be another character, especially if he wins this matchup to go against Gunther following his win over Goldberg, which I do think they might do a little tribute and ceremony with Goldberg for the final 5 minutes or something, 10 minutes. We'll have to watch that. But CM Punk versus Gunther is definitely something I can see at SummerSlam, or also LA Knight versus Gunther. Now, as for the big one, Seth Rollins, I think with the Roman Reigns feud, I'm a little torn because now is a perfect time for him to return, and them at SummerSlam would be massive. But them at SummerSlam is a main event. And what I don't want to have happen is what happened at WrestleMania 41, where Night 1 was leagues better than Night 2, and I feel like we might even be getting a little throwback here of Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. It's just, I could see that happening. So I'll be very, very attuned as to where WWE goes from here, but with 3 matches right now, with the future looking bright, I sense that we are going to be getting a lot of things we will not be expecting coming down as Saturday night's main event. If they are going to announce a matchup, maybe SmackDown Tag Team Championship, maybe a Solo Sikoa run-of-the-mill defense, maybe Jake Fatu takes on one of the Tonga brothers. I don't know. I can't really say for certain, but Saturday night's main event should be good. It goes down Saturday. I don't even know what time. I don't even know. It's because I think NXT has an event too, so maybe this will be going down at night, I'm assuming. Maybe 6 to 8, 7 to 9, 8 to 10, I don't know. Tune into your TV. But the following night, you have another WWE PLE in Evolution. That is right, Evolution is back. You know, they had it in 2018. It never really hit, but now they're back. They're giving it another go, and this is an all-women's WWE PLE. And I'll tell you, you know, you're immediately going to see them be like, oh, women's, you know, they're just doing all this stuff, whatever. Like, oh my gosh, they're so progressive. But I'm going to tell you, this is a very good card. This is a very good card, and I'm very excited for it. Now, I'm excited in the sense of I will watch the recap, I'll watch the reviews, but I'm not going to go out of my way this Sunday to actually watch it, if you get what I'm saying. It will be going down in the same arena as Saturday night's main event to work out perfectly without having to change venues or anything. So, with the matchups, you have 7. You have 7 matchups here. So, we're going to go through them, kind of just talk about what happens, and give our predictions real quick. So, first off, you have a Battle Royal for a World Championship match at Clash in Paris. Clash in Paris going down end of August is after SummerSlam, the next big WWE PLE. And they're just going to jam any women that are not in a matchup already. I think the card is pretty finalized right now with 7 matchups. I think it's good for here. So with the Battle Royale, you're going to throw in, I could see 30 different women being in this contest. I really could. As of right now, you have Stephanie Vaquer, Ivy Nile, Nia Jax, Nikki Bella, Natalia, Maxine Dupree, Kalani Jordan, Jada Parker, Lola Vice, Lash Legend, Izzy Dame, Tatum Paxley, Zelina Vega, Julia, and Candice LeRae. Those are all of the women currently announced. And when I analyze this, I'm going to be going through the ones that the winner of this is taking on Io Sky or Rhea Ripley. That's what I'm going with. And, you know, spoiler alert for what I think the main event prediction is going to be. I think the main event's going to be Rhea Ripley dethroning Io Sky. They just love to do it, and it's how you could end a big card like this and actually make people pay attention. So then, who would Rhea Ripley take on at, you could say, Clash in Paris? Because at SummerSlam, you know, you're getting, who's Jade Cargill versus Tiffany Stratton for sure, and Rhea Ripley just doesn't have an opponent. So Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky could drag on to SummerSlam, but I'm going to go with Rhea Ripley moving on to Clash in Paris. Who do I think would be a perfect opponent for her to take on? Stephanie Vaquer. They just give off the same gothic vibes. It's just they're just so similar yet so different. They work so well. For people like Ivy Nile, Kalani Jordan, Jada Parker, Lola Vice, Tatum Paxley, Julia, I just don't see them pulling the trigger and having them in a matchup there. I think they're going to go with Stephanie Vaquer. Dare I even say Nikki Bella? They could have when Nikki Bella is a great option just because she's a no name, but Nikki Bella just doesn't match the same wrestling style that the women nowadays do. Don't get me wrong, she's a trailblazer if you want to call her that, but I just don't really think that it's, you know, having her win would do much. I really don't. So Stephanie Vaquer winning the Battle Royal is what I think they should go with. And I guess we can cross off Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley, which I don't think it should be the main event, but it will be the main event. And yes, I do think Rhea Ripley will dethrone Io Sky. I don't know where you go into SummerSlam with angles and stuff, but I do think they're just going to give Rhea Ripley the belt. Moving on, the singles match for the NXT Women's Championship. You have JC Jane and Jordan Grace. I believe they're doing, is it a bash at the beach or something? They're doing some NXT PLE of some regard or premium event. I don't know what's going to go on here, but JC Jane is the champion. She's been dominant. Jordan Grace is just known since coming over to be good. And I could see them switching belts. I could, but I don't really know if they're gonna. There's 4 title matchups on here, and if I am gonna say that they are gonna do 2 of the 4, then I would predict Jordan Grace to win. But if they're just gonna do Rhea Ripley, if any, then I'm probably gonna go with JC Jane. So for my final prediction, I'm probably gonna say JC Jane retains. However, it would be kind of cool to see Jordan Grace finally win here, but you never know what WWE is going to do. Actually, we have 5 matchups. I forgot about the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. You have the Judgment Day, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, Sol Ruka and Zarya, and the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. This is maybe the most predictable one. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss are going to win these, and I feel like they're going to win them in a sense of they don't even want to be champions together. And I feel like they're doing this thing where they inserted Becky Lynch and they inserted Bayley into the Intercontinental Championship picture, and now they've inserted Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss into the women's tag team division to really build it back up because it has been brutal. It has been absolutely brutal. These have been some of the worst booked belts that I've seen WWE do in a while. So I think slapping them back on Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss is exactly what you need to do here. So definitely picking Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss to win here. I could see Solrook and Zarya breaking up. I'm hoping the Kabuki Warriors is a one-off, so Asuka could go towards the Io Sky Championship. So maybe you do that or something. I don't know. But, yeah, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, that's my prediction. Another matchup for you, Jade Cargill, Naomi, no holds barred. Here's the weird thing. You already had this at WrestleMania, and we thought that feud was over, and then Naomi won Money in the Bank. And then Jade Cargill won the Queen of the Ring. And you're like, okay, this is nowhere near over. Nowhere near over in the slightest. Now, don't get me wrong, Jade Cargill has already won, but Jade Cargill is about to go into SummerSlam and take on the winner of Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus. I don't think you can ever lose. And by the way, Naomi with Money in the Bank briefcase holders, they're always losing. It's just a trope that WWE loves to do. So we can easily go with Jade Cargill to win this one. Their WrestleMania match was average 5 out of 10, 4 out of 10, best 6 out of 10. So following up with No Holds Barred, mind you, this is on NBC. I don't know how No Holds Barred you can get. Should have just been no disqualification. Maybe some table spots, maybe some kendo sticks, some chairs, but you're not going to get too violent with this one. I do think that you're going to have Jade Cargill win this one, and then at SummerSlam, Jade Cargill beats oh my gosh, I'm mind blanking on her name, Tiffany Stratton, who we're literally about to talk about next. Tiffany Stratton, and then Naomi cashes in. I think we can all see that happen. I think the main question is, will Seth Rollins cash in, which will be a thing to discuss when we get closer to SummerSlam. But yes, I'm going with Jade Cargill to beat Naomi. And then, yes, we were mentioning Tiffany Stratton is taking on Trish Stratus. It's kind of like a little tongue twister. Say it 5 times fast. Tiffany Stratton, Trish Stratus, Tiffany Stratton, Trish Stratus, Tiffany Stratton, Trish Stratus, Tiffany Stratton, Trish Stratus, and it kind of just messes with your brain. But, yeah, this is a one-off. Trish Stratus is back just to build up Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton's winning. We don't need to entertain anything at all. We really don't. And, I hate to say it, Tiffany Stratton, since becoming champion, hasn't hit the same. It just really hasn't hit the same, and I think it's unfortunate that it hasn't hit the same, but I don't really think it's her fault. I just think it's how they've booked her as a babyface when she should have been a heel. She worked so good as a heel, and they just want her to be babyface for some reason to, I think, do photo ops and stuff, so Tiffany Stratton over Trish Stratus is just locked in the books. If you do want to do a fun match down the line, Trish Stratus versus Nikki Bella could be a fun matchup you do. But, yeah, Tiffany Stratton is going to SummerSlam. She's losing to Jade Cargill, and then Naomi is cashing in. Or even what I could see is Trish Stratus beating Jade Cargill, and then Naomi cashes in. But I think Naomi walking out of SummerSlam as champion is inevitable. With that, we get into the final matchup, which I saved for last because it should be the main event. It's not going to be, but is going to deliver more than any of these matches. The triple threat match for the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship, Becky Lynch, Bayley, and Lyra Valkyria. This has been a perfectly booked feud. People are invested in this. These are 3 women who we have realized all could have amazing matchups together. I watched Lyra Valkyria versus Bayley live. Me and the whole crowd around me was shocked at how good that was. And don't get me wrong, Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria were delivering with their feud, but inserting Bayley has just proven to be just this extra gem that has worked out so well. And with a heel Becky Lynch, potential heel Lyra Valkyria, I mean, Bayley, you never know if she's going to be a heel. All these women, they aren't even heel or baby faces. They're just all delivering. They all want the Women's Intercontinental Championship, which is it feels important now. It really feels important, and I love what they've done this with the Women's Tag Team Championship, and they're doing it with the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship. Inserting legendary veterans has worked and is currently working. Now, I don't see Becky Lynch, losing here. I don't. What I do see is maybe just a hectic last scenario. The WWE loves to do that. We're just like, Bayley will hit a belly-to-belly on Lyra Valkyria. Becky Lynch will run in, throw her out of the ring, pin Lyra Valkyria, and that will be how she wins. Something like that. But I do think this is going to be the best match of the evening, and it is going to deliver tenfold. I really do. Becky Lynch over Bayley and Lyra Valkyria in the triple threat match is my prediction. But yeah, I don't even really have full-on predictions for any of these. I'm not really like I don't really care. I suppose if I were to actually want someone to win, JC Jane versus Jordan Grace, I want Jordan Grace to win. Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, I low-key want Io Sky to retain. I think that would be good. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, I want to have the Women's Tag Team Championship match. Stephanie Vaquer to win the Battle Royal, I think is a great move. Even having Julia would be like really good to boost her up. Tiffany Stratton over Trish Stratus is what you have to do. Jade Cargill, Naomi, definitely Jade Cargill. And then Becky Lynch, Bayley, and Lara Vaquera. I've been rocking with Lara Vaquera, so I would love to see her win the belt back. But I'm going to go with Becky Lynch to win in this one. But that is all your WWE PLEs for the weekend. And once we get through Saturday night's main event and all that, we'll be watching Nashville. You can best bet that. Actually, I'm not even going to probably be watching WWE if I'm being honest. I'm going to be all involved in UFC Nashville. That's right. We have a 12-match-up card. Got a lot of favorites on here, a lot of big favorites, a lot of big underdogs, and I'm still not really sold on any of my predictions because if no one knows, if they're new here, this is their first video they've ever listened to, or podcast, I should say, I make my predictions live on the podcast. I do them live right here. This one is a tricky card, boys. There's some I'm pretty certain on, but a majority are 50-50. So, without ado, let's get into our UFC Nashville predictions. Kicking off our little music city, whatever we want to call it, wherever it is. Is Nashville the country music capital of the world? Let's keep it kicking off our country music capital of the world. I actually hope we see some country artists in attendance here. Wouldn't that be pretty cool? We head to the women's strawweight division as Fatima the Archangel Klein. What type of nickname is that? Fatima. Takes on Melissa Super Melly Martinez. Fatima 7-1, Melissa 8-1, 5'6", 5'2", 4 inches in height for Fatima coming in. Got a little size advantage there, and has 1 inch in reach, 67-66. Orthodox for Fatima Klein, Southpaw for Melissa Martinez, and I have no idea why this is, guys, but Fatima Klein is a minus 1,115 favorite. Melissa Martinez plus 700 underdog. Insane. Fatima Klein is one of the biggest favorites I have ever seen. I am so perplexed by this. But Fatima, 24 years young from New York. She has 3 KOs and 1 sub out of her 7 career victories. She was actually a Cage Fury double champion in women's strawweight and flyweight. Oddly enough, I can't believe that. She actually debuted in MMA in 2021, and look, 4 years later, she's in the UFC. She debuted last July and lost to Jasmine Jassu Devicious, but I do not really want to hold that against her, as Jasmine is now the number 5 woman on the planet for women's flyweight. But she did take on Victoria Dudikova in January on the first card of the year, and TKO'd her pretty bad. And she actually got Victoria Dudikova kicked out of the UFC because she raged and literally freaking shoved her coach. It made absolutely no sense. Victoria Dudikova actually had high hopes for you. But Fatima Klein kind of into this one, the Archangel. It's kind of a cool nickname now. It's kind of growing on me already. She's back in action. Excited to see it. She takes on the massive underdog, Melissa Super Melly Martinez, 27 years old from Mexico. Of her 8 wins, she has 5 KOs. She last fought in October of 2019, and before that made her UFC debut in September of 2022. She did have one fight booked against Yasmin Lucindo in 2023, but that bout was canceled. So, not very active. Last time she fought, she beat Alice Ardaline, or is it Alice Ardaline? I don't know how you say it, the Romanian, but she was outstruck by 20 significant strikes. I think it was kind of just like she won type of fight. And when she took on Elise Reed dropped her, which kind of shows me that she has a pillow chin. That's all I got to say. But we won't spend too much time on this one. Fatima Klein all day. And if she TKO'd Victoria Dudikova, I think she'll do the same to Melissa Martinez. And let's even go with a little round 1 ground and pound TKO. And some elbows, too. That's what we're going to go with for Fatima Klein. Moving on, men's lightweight division, another big one. Another big one here is the minus 900 favorite, Mike Beast Boy Davis takes on the plus 600 underdog, Mitch Ramirez. I don't know what's going on with the first 2 prelims of the night. Mitch Ramirez, 8-2. The massive favorite, Mike Davis, 11-3. 6 foot to 5'11", 1 inch in height for Mike. He also has 1 inch in reach, 72 inches to 71 inches. Orthodox fighting position for both of these gentlemen. We'll start with Mitch here, the plus 600 underdog. 32 years old from Utah, but now he's actually moved into Las Vegas. I think he was living in a little Mormon community, and now he's in the big city now, partying his life away. 5 KOs and 2 subs give him 7 of 8 wins by victory, and both of his 2 losses he has been knocked out in. But we will get to that in a quick little second here. He was actually supposed to fight April 26th against, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Is it Hassanda Almahad or something, but it is the guy who got hit with sexual assault, like battery charges. Like he apparently like raped a child or something. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. They immediately got that guy out of here and sent him to prison. But I mean, poor Mitch Ramirez has been waiting to take on someone. But Mitch came into the UFC, fought on Dana's Contender Series in 2023, and got knocked out by Carlos Prates. Then debuted in March of last year and got finished with leg kicks by Thiago Moises. So Mitch Ramirez has not had very much good luck so far in his little UFC tenure, but he's back almost a year and 3 months later, and we'll see how he does against Beast Boy Mike Davis. And somehow, years go by. Mike Davis is in year 6 in the UFC. He is also 32. He's born in New York, but now trains and fights out of Orlando, Florida. He has 9 of his 11 wins by finish, 7 KOs, and 2 submissions. And yeah, last time he fought was in February in Saudi Arabia. Did lose to Ferzayam, but I don't want to hold that against him because Ferzayam is an absolute killer. He really is. And mind you, he still managed to land a takedown on Ferzayam. That was about it. But, before that was on a little 4-fight winning streak. He actually, in the UFC, his only losses are to Sadiq Youssef, Gilbert Burns, and Ferzayam. Those are not bad guys to lose to. He has a knockout win over Thomas Gifford, no idea who that is, a fight of the night against Mason Jones, a win over Vyacheslav Borshev, and a submission of Nathan Livy, which was his last win in March of 2024, which oddly, that was actually the same card that Mitch Ramirez last fought on, so look at that. But yeah, there is just no way I'm picking Mitch Ramirez to win this one. I generally don't think he will win. I'm thinking Mike Davis leans on that takedowns. I'm thinking he can actually get one against Mitch, take him down, submit him, and get it done. So we are going to go with Mike Davis to get past Mitch Ramirez to start off the Nashville card. Moving into our third fight of the evening, this one I'm a little torn on, guys. I'm going to be honest. This one has my mind spinning. The African Savage, Kedi Nchuku, against the Clean Monster, Volker Walker, in the men's heavyweight division. 14-5 record for Kennedy, 13-1 for Volter Walker. 6'6" and 6'5", these are some tall boys, 1 inch in height for Volter, a massive 5 inches in reach for Kennedy, 83 inches to 78. Southpaw with that left hand for Kennedy, orthodox with the right for Volter Walker. Kennedy coming in, minus 240. Kind of swelling as a favorite, plus 185. Volter is the underdog, but I'd say this is just a clashing of styles, and we'll see which one comes out on top. Kennedy, 33 years old, born in Nigeria, now fights out of Dallas, Texas, Fortis MMA, if you will. 11 of his 14 wins are by finish, 10 of them by knockout. Doing pretty good. He's actually on a 2 straight round 1 knockout streak, both of them in heavyweight. So he is 2-0 in the heavyweight division. He's actually supposed to take on Martin Boudet April 5th, but that fell apart, and now he's here. And you know what? We'll see how he does against Volter Walker. Kennedy's been with the UFC since 2018, and he has had a lot of fights, and they've usually come in droves. Wins on Davis Contender Series, debuts with a big knockout, gets submitted by Paul Craig. Then goes on a little 3-fight winning streak, knockouts over Carlos Ulberg, Daniel Marquez. It's crazy. He was the last guy to beat Carlos Ulberg, funny enough. Then loses to Da Woon Jung, loses to Nicola Nega Moreno. Then finishes Carl Robertson, finishes Ian Kudalaba in a main event, might I add you, and beats Devin Clark by submission. Then brutally knocked out by Dustin Jacoby, somehow loses a split decision to Ovince St. Preux, but October 2024 knocks out Chris Barnett, and December 2024 knocks out Lucas Brzezic. And now he levels up when he takes on the younger brother of Johnny Walker, that is Volter Walker. The 27-year-old, born in Brazil, but now fights out of Moscow, Russia. 9 of 13 wins are by finish, 6 KOs, and 3 subs, and he's currently 2-1 in the UFC, and similar to Kennedy, he is on a 2-fight round 1 finishing streak. However, on the opposite side of knockouts, he has had 2 heel hooks through his first 2 UFC wins. Pretty crazy enough. Did lose to Lucas Brzezic in his debut, but honestly, I had him winning that. It was a sloppy fight for both the guys, just bad all around. Took on Junior Tafa in August of last year, got a heel hook with 4 seconds left, then took on Dontel Mays on February of this year, and heel hooked him in 1 minute and 17 seconds. So I don't know what to do here. I really don't, because Kennedy has looked so good. Mind you, he has looked good, knocking out Chris Barnett and Lucas Brzezic. Not the best of guys. On the other side of things, you have Volter Walker. He's also looked good. Mind you, he has submitted Junior Tafa and Dontel Mays. Not the most impressive guys. This is quite literally, Volter's going to shoot for a takedown. Can Kennedy defend it? Yes, he will knock out Volter. That is my prediction right here. That is my prediction. But I don't exactly know what's going to happen, which then comes down to I have to predict what will happen. And what I'm going to analyze is the fact that Walter Walker couldn't finish Lucas Brzeziak. MMA math says that, or actually MMA math would say that since Kennedy beat Lucas and Lucas beat Walter, then wouldn't Walter beat Kennedy if we're looking at it like that? I don't really know. I'm really tempted to pick Kennedy just because I've been rocking with him as of late. The reach is going to be useful, but he's going to need to withstand that initial, takedown attempt. Let's actually look at some stats. We rarely look at stats. For grappling, takedown accuracy has been at a 70% for Walter Walker, but takedown defense is at an 81% for Kenny Nchukwu. You know what, boys? I'm going to ride with my boy Kenny Nchukwu, the African Savage, for a reason. We're going to go with a round one knockout, and I think Walter's going to shoot a takedown, kind of go for a single leg. Kenny's going to stuff it. They're either going to be up against the cage or he's going to be holding onto his leg, and Kenny's just going to be swinging those hooks down onto his head. Ref's going to step in and stop it, and Walter's going to be like, what? I was good, but he wasn't good. So, Kenny Nchukwu, round one knockout over Walter Walker. After that, we get our final women's fight of the evening as we go to the women's flyweight division for Lauren Lucky Murphy and Eduarda Ronda Mora. That's right. Lauren Murphy, for some reason, decided to come back to the UFC after 2.5 years. Makes no sense. Lauren Murphy, 16-6. Eduarda Mora, 11-1. 5'6" and 5'5". 1 inch in height for Eduarda, same reach, 67 inches, and an orthodox stance for both of these ladies. Lauren, plus 430, Eduarda, minus 650. She is a heavy underdog. But yes, Lauren Murphy, 41 from Houston, 9 finishes of her 16 defeats, and she's only ever been finished once, and it was by Valentina Shevchenko. But yeah, she last fought January of 2023 and was brutalized by Jessica Andrade, so I guess she didn't retire. She just walked away from the UFC. Hasn't done anything since then. I mean, she's fought a number of legendary women, Liz Caramuch, Caitlin Sermonera, like I said, Valentina Shevchenko. She took her in round 4, before Valentina just stopped messing around and killed her. But, last win was in July of 2022 when she beat Miesha Tate. So we'll see if she can get back in the win category here, but I have no idea why she returned, nonetheless, to take on Eduarda Mora. Eduarda Mora, 31 years old, from Brazil, also has 9 finishes of her 11 wins, 4 KOs, and 5 subs. And yes, she's a minus 650 favorite. Crazy enough. 2-1 in the UFC, got a round 1 rear naked choke on Dan Quintero series, debuted in November 2023, TKOing Montserrat Conijo, then lost a split decision to Denise Gomez, which, mind you, Denise Gomez is no walk in the park. She's currently ranked number 15 in the women's strawweight division. She is no walk in the park. Last time she fought in November 2024, grappled Veronica Hardy to a unanimous decision, was kind of lackluster, though, if I'm being honest. But I'm going to be real. This is a winnable fight for Lauren Murphy, but there's no way I am picking Lauren Murphy to come back at 41 years old, beat a 31-year-old after not having fought for 2.5 years. So we are going to go with Eduarda Mora to win this one. We're going to go with a boring decision, grappling Lauren Murphy to death, but I'm just more perplexed why Eduarda Mora. I'm not Eduarda Mora. I'm perplexed why Lauren Murphy's back. What do you have left to fight for in the UFC? You have nothing. You did pretty good. You fought for a title. You beat Miesha Tate. There you go. Following that, we get to some good ones. Including back-to-back welterweight bangers. First up, Jake the Celtic King Matthews takes on Chidi Bang Bang Nchukwu. What a matchup here. What a matchup. Jake 21-7, Chidi 25-10 with a no contest. 6'3" to 5'11", 4 inches in height for Nchukwu, and he is 7 inches in reach, 80-73. Oh my, orthodox position for both of these guys. Minus 105 for Jake, minus 120 for Chidi, the rare double favorite. No one can decide who should be the favorite in this contest. Let's start with Jake Matthews, 30 years old. What if I tell you guys, he has been fighting since he was 19 years old. Dude is a dog. Dude is an absolute dog. From Australia, 13 of his 21 wins by finish, 5 KOs and 8 subs. Of his 7 defeats, he's been finished 4 times, including 3 of them by sub. Currently on a little 2-fight winning streak. Went 1-0 in 2024. Already picked up a win in 2025. Good stuff. Wins over Phil Rowe and Francisco Prado, too. Good work. He is actually 3-1 in his last 4. The only loss, Michael Morales, who couldn't finish him. That's pretty interesting if you ask me. Jake has been fighting since 2014 in the UFC, that is. You know, he's taken on James Vick, Kevin Lee. He's actually beaten Li Jingliang in a fight of the night. Fought Anthony Rocco Martin, great guy outside of the UFC. Diego Sanchez, I'm pretty sure retired, if I'm not mistaken. Lost to Sean Brady, had a great knockout over Andre Filo. Last time he finished someone, July of 2023, he submitted Darius Flowers. But yeah, you know, picked up a win in February over Francisco Prado. Really, really humbled Francisco Prado, if I'm being honest. I was really shocked at how level he was able to get to do that, but it was good stuff from Jake the Celtic Kid Matthews. And yeah, he's going from Australia to Nashville, but our good buddy Chidi is only going from Texas to Las Vegas to what's it called? Nashville. That's right. GD and Chukani, 36 years old, 15 knockouts, 1 submission of his 25 wins. Big knockout guy. 8 of his 10 losses have came by finish, including 5 by knockout, and he's 3-0 at welterweight. That was right. They came into the UFC Alpha Damas Contender Series and had a performance of the night over Marc-Andre Bayut and a performance of the night knockout over Dusko Todorovic. Both of those nasty knockouts. Then had one of the craziest 2-round fights I've seen against Gregory Rodriguez. Almost finished him in round 1, and then Gregory came back to win in round number 2. Would then lose a split decision to Albert Durev in 2023 before getting knocked out in round 1 against Michael Okajacek in August of 2023. He would then take a couple months off, dropped down to welterweight, since beat Rise McKee, beat Jared Good, and picked up the biggest win of his career so far over Elizio Zaleski dos Santos in March with a nice little knockout. So Chidi is riding some momentum. I am actually going to say that Chidi and Chukani rides the momentum wave and gets past Jake Matthews. And I'm going to say split decision. I'm even going to go with a little controversial split decision in terms of Jake Matthews. I think Jake Matthews is going to leave a good impression, but when we actually look at the stats, Chidi is going to do enough to get past Jake Matthews. I really like the reach here. Bit of height. Jake is really going to want to bring this to the ground, but from what I've seen from Chidi and Chukani, he's been really improving. He really has, and I think the length here with the striking is really going to benefit him. Now, if he does get finished here by Jake Matthews, that's probably it in terms of his career ceiling, but Jake Matthews has just been around for so long. I'm pretty sure he's going to be a journeyman, and when he reaches 33-34, he's going to be in the title picture mix, but that's an if. That's a big if. But if either guy wants to start a run, this is a must-win matchup here. I'm very curious to see how it goes down. Sticking with our welterweight boys, Max Payne Griffin and Chris Action Curtis are in action. This one's amazing, if I'm being honest. Max Griffin 20-11, Chris Curtis 31-12 with a no contest. 5'11" to 5'10", 1 inch in height for Max, also 1 inch in reach, 76 inches to 75. Orthodox fighting position for both of these gentlemen. Plus 230 for Payne Griffin, minus 310 for the Action Man Chris Curtis. He is a big favorite in this one. Max Griffin, 39 years old. How did Max Griffin get to be 39 years old? That's what I'm wondering. Where did that come? Where'd that come out of? Sacramento is where he's from. 11 of his 20 wins are by finish, 9 KOs, and 2 subs. He's only ever been finished twice. This guy has a lot of decision victories. Not even decision victories, just decision fights, if I'm being honest. Max Griffin has gone win-loss since 2021. He's been with the company since 2016. This is year number 9. And to be fair, you know, this guy's only ever been finished twice in his career. Who are those guys? Colby Covington in his debut and Michael Chiesa in his last fight in December. Submitted him in round number 3 with a rear naked choke. Last win was February of 2024, split decision against Jeremiah Wells. Before that, lost to Michael Morales. Before that, beat Tim Means. Before that, lost to Neil Magny. But there was a point in Max Griffin's career. He had knocked out Ramiz Brahamash. He had knocked out Song Kinong. He had beaten Carlos Condit in his retirement fight. And yes, he should have beaten Neil Magny in that fight. Would have put him on a 5-fight winning streak. Could have altered his career, if I'm being honest. So, Max back in action, 39. Don't know how much more he has left in the tank. But, yeah, going to be a tough one for him as he takes on the Action Man, Chris Curtis. 37 years old, born in Ohio. Now, of course, fights out of Las Vegas. We know, best boys with Sean Strickland, Extreme Couture, trains out of there. 18 of his 31 wins are by finish, 15 KOs, and 3 subs. And he's only been finished 3 times out of his 12 defeats. And Chris Curtis, they call him the Action Man for a reason. He's came into the UFC and has just not stopped fighting in bangers. Actually fought his first 2 fights on short notice, knocking out Phil Hawes and Brendan Allen. That Brendan Allen would age really, really well. Would then go on to beat Rodolfo Vieira, stuffing 21 takedowns in an actually entertaining fight surprisingly. Would then get brutally humbled against Jack Hermanson. Made no sense. He lost that. Would then knock out Joaquin Buckley in 2022. Would then have a fight of the night against Kelvin Gastelum, losing in 2023. Of course, the headbutt no contest against Nasruddin Imavov in 2023. Would then have a split decision, basically a sparring matchup win over Marc-Andre Barriault in January of last year. Would then beat Brendan Allen in one of the most entertaining main events I've seen. I have no idea how that didn't win fight of the night. I know Chepe Briscoe, Morgan Sharia was good, but Chris Curtis, Brendan Allen, August 2024 main event, April 2024 main event was phenomenal. Did come up short in that one. Took some time off, did fight on the first card of the year in January, and had a fight of the night defeat to Roman Kopila. But he looked good in that. Just got hit with a head kick at literally the last second. What are you going to do? So this one, pretty, if I'm being honest, I think Chris Curtis finally gets back in the knockout category here, and he puts Max Griffin's lights out. I am really high on Chris Curtis. I'm really high on him, and, there was a time where I wasn't picking him. I haven't picked him to win in a while, and I think this is the start of a nice little run for him here. And, not this weekend, but the next, of course, UFC 318, super pumped for that. We have Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen. And if Brendan Allen comes up short in that one, Chris Curtis comes up big in this one, you need to run a trilogy. You need to run a trilogy because those two dudes bring out the best in one another. I kid you not. But, oh my gosh, we accidentally had, so on my sheet with my predictions, I do, what's it called? I highlight my predictions, and I just highlight Max Griffin, so now we have to cross him out. No, we're not doing this. If you've listened to the podcast before, you know that we have done this before, and I've been like, oh, you know what? This is fate trying to tell me I need to pick this fighter. Yeah, it's never fate. It's just me messing up. So Chris Curtis getting himself a little round 2 knockout over Max Griffin. Dare I say round 1? I don't know, but yeah. I think the Action Man should deliver. And with that, we get into our main card. I believe they're going to go with a 6-fight main card. We'll have to see whether 6, whether 5. This one will be in the either closing or opening spot. Junior Tafa versus Tuco Tukos. Junior, the Juggernaut Tafa, 6-3. Tuco Tukos, 10-5. 6'4", 6'3", 1 inch in height for Tuco. 1 inch in reach as well, 76, 75. Orthodox stance for both of these gentlemen. Junior Tafa, minus 180. Tuco, plus 140 in this fight is lined up specifically for Junior Tafa to kick off the card with a big knockout. That is exactly what this is lined up to do. I kid you not. Nothing more, nothing less. That's what this fight is designed to be. 28 years old, born in New Zealand, now fights out of Australia. All 6 of his wins are by knockout, and yes, he is the younger bro of Justin Tafa. Junior Tafa came into the UFC, took on Muhammad Usman in his debut, and Muhammad hugged him to death. 12 minutes of clinch control time. Oh, so boring. I remember that. It was awful. Then knocks out Parker Porter in Singapore. That was amazing. Steps in to replace his bro against Marco Sergio de Lima, who just brutalizes his legs. Then August of last year, Walter Walker hit him with the heel hook, of course. And last time he fought, in October, he took on Sean Sheriff, and he knocked him out in round number 2. And a fight he was in a little bit of jeopardy in, might I add. But those two boys were so gassed out. Mind you, Sean Sheriff just didn't have the build of a UFC fighter, and Junior Tafa managed to survive that. So Junior Tafa is literally designed here to knock the brakes off of Tuco Tukos. And Tuco Tukos, 35 years old from England, but actually now fights out of Florida. 8 of his 10 wins are by finish, 6 KOs and 2 subs. And of his 5 defeats, he's been finished 3 times. Twice by knockout, once by submission. These two were actually supposed to fight May 3rd, and I don't know what happened, but neither of these guys ended up fighting. So now they're fighting here on UFC Nashville. But Tuco Tukos fought on the road to the UFC in 2022, knocked down 4 minutes by Zhang Mingyang. Debuted in May of 2024 in the UFC, submitted in under 4 minutes by Omar Sy. Then, you know what? I will say this. December, took on Navajo Sterling, final card of 2024, and in a fight he was losing the entire time, showed some heart. Actually landed 3 takedowns on Navajo Sterling in round number 2 for 2.5 minutes. Had he not been beaten in the striking, he might have won that round. So Tuco Tukos, don't count him out entirely. He is going to try all he can to win this one. But yeah, if everything is right in the MMA world, Junior Tafa should go in and knock out Tuco Tukos in round number 1. I don't know if everything is going to be right in the UFC world, but it is. So there's this guy on Instagram called Burt MMA. Decent follower. I think he's like 30K followers. He posts a ton of MMA news, and he posted the worst fighter in every single UFC weight class, and he put Tuco Tucos for light heavyweight when he was fighting in light heavyweight. Mind you, this fight's going down. Actually, it is a light heavyweight. That means Junior Tafa is dropping down in weight. How about that? But he put Tuco Tucos as the worst, and he tagged him, and Tuco Tucos responded in the comments saying like, "Wow, man, what did I do to you?" It was pretty funny. But yeah, I didn't even realize this was at light heavyweight. So we'll see how Junior Tafa fills into that build at light heavy. But yeah, we're going to go with Junior Tafa round 1 knockout. Sticking with the big boys, we head to the men's heavyweight division as the opposite is going down here as Vitor Petrino moves up to heavyweight to take on the known heavyweight Austin Lane. Vitor minus 650, Austin plus 460. Wow, I'm a little surprised by that, to be honest. 27 years old for Vitrino. He's from Brazil. For Austin Lane, 37 years old from Florida. 11-2 for Vitor, 13-6 with a no contest for Austin Lane. 6'6" to 6'2 height for Lane. Also has reach, 80 to 77. Orthodox stance for both of these gentlemen. But yeah, Vitor, a Brazilian, back in action. Looking to turn his luck around, I'll tell you that. But he has 7 KOs and 1 sub out of his 11 wins. And he was actually supposed to fight Renato Diaz March 8th. That was the last time he was booked in a fight. But last time he did fight was in December of 2024, and actually before that, May of 2024. And what happened? He was submitted by Anthony Smith in 2 minutes in May, and he was brutally knocked out by Dustin Jacoby in December. I'm talking a knockout that looked just like the Kamaru Usman Jorge Masvidal 2 knockout at UFC 261. Like, I'm talking like pan for pan. It looks so similar. But yeah, Vitor Petrino was actually doing pretty good in that fight, if I'm being honest. And dude came in undefeated. Fight of the night against Antal Turkurgic. Beat Rodolfo Bellato with a knockout. Submitted Marcin Perchinio. Knocked out Modestas Bukakas. Beat Tyson Pedro in a boring fight. And then ran into Anthony Smith and Dustin Jacoby. So Vitor is nowhere near ready for high-level competition. But oh well, he's looking to bounce back from his first knockout loss, and he's taking on a man who knows a thing or two about knockout losses. That is Austin Lane. That's right, who was actually the cousin of someone that goes to my mom's gym. She works out at like a kickboxing gym. Austin Lane, 11 KOs and 1 sub make up his 13 career victories, and all 6 of his losses have came by knockout. That's right, Austin Lane is notably known for being knocked out on Davis Contender Series by Greg Hardy, knocked out by Justin Tafa at UFC 293, knocked out by Renato Diaz in April of 2024, and most recently knocked out in March by Mario Pinto. But, that fight was tough for Austin because he was actually winning. He actually almost knocked out Mario in round number 1, and then round number 2 just got too ahead of himself, got clipped brutally. Oh my gosh, put him out cold. And, yeah. So, Austin Lane is sitting at a nasty 1-3 with a no contest record in the UFC. His only win is over Robelis Despange, who he beat with the grappling. But we knew that Robelis was absolutely terrible. Didn't they give Robelis 2 shots? Yeah, they gave him 2 shots. It turned out he has no grappling or cardio. But, yeah. Yeah, this one we're going to go with Vitor. I just don't really know what Austin Lane can do like in the UFC anymore. I'm pretty sure his tenure is done. And as for Vitor, he's young. He's hungry. The minus 650 should not be that since he's moving up to heavyweight after just getting knocked out. But I do think he can overcome that and put on a banger performance and maybe even finish Austin Lane. But we are going to go with Vitor Petrino to win this one. Following that, we head to the men's featherweight division. This may be my favorite fight of the card, guys. I kid you not. This may be my favorite fight of the card. It is going to be violent, be bloody. I'm so excited for it. Nate the Train Lander takes on Morgan the Last Pirate Cherie. Wow. Nate Lander, 18-6. Morgan, 20-11 with a draw. 5'9" to 5'8", 1 inch in height for Nate. 3 inches of reach for Nate, 72 to 69. Orthodox stance for both of these fighters. Nate, plus 195. Morgan, minus 250. Nate Landwehr, 37 years of age. Yeah, you couldn't fool me. He looks a day over 20. I'm, by the way, joking about that. But Nate Landwehr, 37 years old from Tennessee. The only hometown fighter on this card. How? How is that even possible? 9 KOs and 2 subs make up his 18 victories. And of his 6 defeats, he's been finished 4 times. 3 of them by knockout. Nate the Train Landwehr. Been with the UFC 5 years now. Dude is ride or die. I'll tell you that. Dude is ride or die. I mean, let's talk about the Darren Elkins fight. Let's talk about the David Onama fight, the Austin Lingo fight. This dude's been knocked out by Herbert Burns and Julian Erosa with knees super bad, and then he's come back and gone on a win streak. The David Onama fight is one of the greatest fights I've ever seen live. That was insane. Dade Ige fight, that was brutal. Jamal Emmers, that knockout last win, March 2024, that was beautiful. And the last time he fought in December, he was unfortunately brutally TKO'd by Doo Ho Choi. He literally took him down 4 times throughout the entire fight, and just bashing him, elbows up. It was so unfortunate. But Nate, he's back. He's in front of a home crowd, and oh my goodness, I'm so tempted to pick him. Why does he have to be taking on such a legit guy in Morgan, the Last Pirate Cherie? 29 years old from France, and out of those 20 victories, he has 12 knockouts and 3 subs. And of his 11 defeats, he's only ever been finished once in his entire career. Currently sitting at 2-2 in the UFC. He has 2 knockouts, and he's also had a fight of the night against Shep Mariscal. And last time he fought in March, he lost a unanimous decision to Nathaniel Wood. But Nathaniel Wood was on something that night. I don't know what Nathaniel Wood was on. He was feeling the crowd. He was looking like a prime fighter that night. Dude was in his bag. But man, this is really sucky because I like watching Nate Landwehr fight. I also love picking hometown fighters, but it is just so hard to see Nate Landwehr beating Morgan Cherie. Unless we see Morgan Cherie take a drastic step back career-wise. I kid you not, guys. I think this might be it for Nate Landwehr. I think he's going to lose. He's going to be in Tennessee, and Morgan Cherie is going to retire him here. I got to go with Morgan Cherie. I would love to pick Nate Landwehr. You have no idea. But it's just, of all the fighters, Morgan Cherie is such a good kickboxer. He can mix in the takedowns when he needs to. Oh, dude's such a dog. So we are going to go with Morgan Cherie. I'm hoping not by knockout, but I can low-key see a standing TKO in round number 3. Nate Landwehr on his final leg, just eating punches, eating kicks to the leg. You know what? I hope I'm not speaking that into existence, but I can definitely see it happening. After that, we get to our big 3. These are our big 3 ranked opponents on this card, and this is 3 straight fights of changing of the guard. Will that happen? I don't know. We'll have to see. First up, number 14th ranked Calvin Kattar welcomes to the ranked competition Steve Mean Machine Garcia. Calvin 23-9, Steve 17-5, 6 foot 5, 11 inch in height for Steve Garcia. Also has 3 inches in reach, 75 inches, 72 inches. Southpaw stance for Steve, orthodox for Calvin Kattar. Calvin plus 115, Steve at minus 140 is your favorite. Calvin Kattar, man, I'll tell you, butterfly effect of some things is Calvin Kattar's career. I'll kid you not. 37-year-old is from Massachusetts. He's had 13 of his wins by finish, 10 KOs and 3 subs. He's only ever been finished twice in his entire career, both of them by knockout. And yeah, Calvin Kattar came into the UFC in 2017. Dude was on an absolute run, Through his first 10 fights, he actually went, or was it 8? Through his first 10 fights, he went 7-3. His only losses, Renato Moicano, Zabit Magomedsharipov, and Max Holloway. I do want to say that. Then he ran into probably the most unfortunate thing ever when he took on Josh Emmett in a fight of the night and lost a split decision he should have won. From that moment, he has never recovered. Finished by Arnold Allen due to an injury. Beaten by Aljamain Sterling, just brutally outgrappled. Last time out in February, just outclassed by Yusuf Zalal in all categories. He's on a 4-fight losing streak. He's 1-5 of his last 6. This is make or break for the career of Calvin Kattar. If he doesn't win here, he's probably getting the boot, which is just really sad to see. He might even have to retire, man. I mean, Calvin Kattar, there was at one point when he beat Jeremy Stephens and they beat Dan Ige, he got the Max Holloway fight. People were like, he's going to be the first guy to knock out Max Holloway. And then he didn't. But then he bounced back and just brutalized Giga Chikadze a year later. And then, yeah, the butterfly effect of him not winning that Josh Emmett fight, which he should have, was just derailed his career. And I don't know what to do with Calvin Kattar after this one, because it is just, this one's tougher than Yusuf Zalal and Aljamain Sterling and Steve Garcia. Because, this is a guy who's going to stand in front of Calvin and bang. Stand and bang. 33 years old from New Mexico. The Mean Machine, Steve Garcia, is currently on a 5-fight winning streak. All of them coming by knockout. And of his 17 career victories, he has 14 of them by knockout. This dude is actually supposed to fight Edson Barbosa on that UFC Seattle card, and Edson pulled out, and Steve Garcia was like, you know what, I'll just wait around for a bit. But dude's an absolute killer, debuted in the UFC and, kind of just lost in 2020, won in 2021, lost in 2022, and then October 2022, knocked out Chase Hooper. Then April 2023 at UFC 287, knocks out Shailene Merdenbeek. December 2023, beats Marcos Alcázar, which is aged well. Then July 2024, knocks out Sung Woo Choi. Then September 2024, on a card where Calvin Kattar is supposed to fight Kyle Nelson, he steps in to take out Kyle Nelson, knocks him out in 4 minutes. Steve Garcia is just on the run of a lifetime, and I have such a hard time seeing Calvin win because, I would love to say, like, oh, this is just a striking matchup. He's been fighting Yusuf. He's been fighting Aljamain, who mixing the grappling. This is where Calvin gets back. He finally gets to take on a boxer, but the fact he just hasn't had much momentum going his way, the fact the win streak, the knockouts are packing up for Steve Garcia, I got Steve Garcia winning this one, and I'm going to be honest, I'm thinking this is the end of Calvin Kattar, similar to the end of Nate Landwehr. I got Steve Garcia TKOing Calvin Kattar in round number 2, and it just means sad. Like, not even a happy knockout, just a sad knockout. But you know what? If Calvin wins, I'll be going crazy, but we are going to predict Steve Garcia to win this matchup. With that, we get to the co-main event of the evening as the number 12 ranked welterweight Stephen Wonderboy Thompson welcomes back to a ranked opportunity, Gabriel Maratina Bonfim. Actually, this is his first ranked opportunity, I must say. That other fight, we're going to talk about in a sec, that doesn't count. But Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, plus 300. Gabriel Maratina Bonfim coming in at minus 420. Wow. Wow. 17-8-1 record for Stephen Thompson. This will be his, if I'm trying to think, I'm pretty sure it's his 22nd UFC fight. For Gabriel Bonfim, 17-1. So like a 6 UFC fight. 6-1 to 6 foot, 1 inch in height for Gabriel, 3 inches in reach for Wonderboy, 75-72. Orthodox stance for both of these fighters. Wonderboy, we love him, we know him. 42 years old from South Carolina, so kind of close to Tennessee. 8 KOs and 1 sub out of his 17 victories. And of his 8 losses, he's been finished 3 times. Sadly, of those 3, 2 of them have been in his last 2 fights. So, yeah, Wonderboy, been with the UFC since 2012. This is year 13, and dude's a legend. Dude's an absolute legend. There was that one point in time. He was on a 7-fight winning streak, took Tyron Woodley to a fight of the night draw, of course, lost to him, then beat Jorge Masvidal. Lost to Darren Till, got knocked out for his first time in his career by Anthony Pettis, bounced back with wins over Vicente Luque and Jeff Neal, then outgrappled by Gilbert Burns, outgrappled by Bilal Muhammad. One of the best fights of 2022, though, against Kevin Holland, would end up being his last win in December of 2022. He would then fight once in 2023, gained submitted by Shafkat, fight once in 2024, gained knocked out by Joaquin Buckley, and now is back to take on the young, hungry Gabriel Bonfim. Gabriel Bonfim, 27 years old, from Brazil. He has 16 of his 17 wins by finish, 3 KOs, and a whopping 13 submissions. And yes, I was correct. This will be his 6th career UFC fight. First 2, guillotine chokes in under a minute and 15 seconds. Then lost the fight of the night to Dalby, just got ahead of himself. Gassed out way too soon, but bounced back in July, beating Ange Loosa by decision, and then fought in February and submitted Chaos Williams with a Darce choke. So now, Bonfim, they're like, you know what? He's back. He's 4-1 in the UFC, and he's ready for a ranked opponent. We'll see how he does here. We'll see how he does. He's a grappler at heart, but we did see the striking mixed up in that Ange Loosa fight. Wonderboy, I don't know. This kid's 15 years younger than him. It's so tough. It's so tough. I hate when the younger fighters come in and beat the old guys. It's, sometimes it's satisfying, but here I just don't think it's gonna be. I gotta go with Bonfim. I would really love to see Wonderboy do something, but with the style we know he fights, it's just tricky to see. And see how Buckley was able to just manhandle and take him down. I just don't see Bonfim having too much issues. It's just, the takedown offense against Shafkat was good until it wasn't, and I think Bonfim is just going to be on the hunt. So we are going to go with Gabriel Bonfim to get a round 2 submission here, but I'm not going to be happy about it. I won't be happy about it, but yeah. Let's get to our main event, guys. We're kind of getting a little dim here. We're not trying to get dim. We're trying to stay upbeat. And we head to the men's heavyweight division as the number 9 ranked heavyweight, the KO King of the UFC, the Black Beast, Derek Lewis, welcomes a 6'7" monstrosity from Brazil, Thaleson Jaco Teixeira. That's right. Thaleson, minus 260, is the favorite against Lewis, who is plus 200. Lewis is 15 years his senior. Now, unlike welterweight, it doesn't really matter at heavyweight, but just to throw that out there. 28-12 with a no contest for Derek Lewis. This dude is a legend of the game. Thaleson, 8-0, young buck, undefeated. 6'7" to 6'3", 4 inches in height for Talishon Teixeira, and 4 inches in reach, 83 to a 79. Orthodox stance for both of these gentlemen. Derek Lewis, we'll start with him. 40 years old from Texas. 23 of his 28 wins are by knockout. Insane. He actually has a submission as well, which means 24 of his 28 wins are by finish. 15 of those knockouts have came in the UFC. That's right, he is the KO king. Hunt him for 16 tonight. Of his 12 defeats, he has been finished 9 times, 7 of those by knockout, which isn't too pretty, but yeah. He was actually supposed to fight Alexander Romanov and Hanada Dinas, both on UFC Edmonton, both of them fell apart, so my boy just never ended up having another fight after his main event win against Rodrigo Nascimento, but oh well, he's back, he's hungry, and he's looking to get things done. Derek Lewis, year 11 in the UFC, and I actually just watched a video recapping all of his knockouts. There's a lot of ground and pound ones, surprisingly. You'd be surprised how many ground and pound ones he has, but yeah, Derek Lewis, last time he lost was against Halton Almeida in November of 2023, where he managed to survive 5 rounds of Halton Almeida. That just makes no sense to me. It wouldn't be what Derek Lewis does, but Lewis, he's back, he's ready, and he is, he's ready to bring the thunder. And this is going to be interesting because Derek Lewis hasn't lost to a nobody in a long time. The last guys to beat him, the number 1, Cyril Gane, the number 3, Sergey Pavlovich, the number 5, Halton Almeida, the number 8, Sergey Spivak, and the number 10, Tai Tuivasa. He has not lost to up-and-comers. They've thrown Rodrigo Nascimento, Marcos Rogelio de Lima, Chris Dawkins, Alexio Linick, Ayur Latifi. They've thrown all these guys at him, and he kind of just fends them off and knocks them out. So this is going to be a real test here. Derek hasn't really fought anyone the size of Talishon, since maybe you could say Cyril Gane. I don't really know if you could, but I don't know. It's going to be a tough one for him. Talishon, 25 years young, from Sao Paulo, Brazil. All of his wins by finish, 7 kills and 1 sub, and all of them have came in round number 1. And of his 6 wins, probably finish, actually of his 8 wins, 6 of them have came in under 2 minutes. 3 of them have came in under 30 seconds. This dude's a maniac. This dude's an absolute maniac. Won on Day 1's Contender Series last September, debuted at UFC 312 this year in February, and knocked out Justin Tafa in 35 seconds. But that's Dustin Tafa. Okay, that's Justin Tafa. That ain't no Black Beast Derek Lewis. Let me tell you that. So, for this fight, what are the keys? What are the keys for this fight? Well, let me tell you. Talishon Teixeira is going to want to just keep the distance and knock out Derek Lewis. For Derek Lewis, he's just going to want to land a punch. That's the name of the game. For Derek Lewis, it just comes down to landing a punch. And you know what? I've been torn over my prediction for this all week. I really have, and I can see both sides. I think that's the main issue. I think that's the really main issue here is Derek Lewis just needs one punch. He can survive the grappling. He can survive distance strikers. It doesn't matter what type of fighter build you are. Derek Lewis can survive you when he is ready. And I will say the one style that Derek Lewis always struggles against is grapplers. Halton Almeida, Sergey Spivak. Now, you've seen Tai Tuivasa and Sergey Pavlovich give him trouble, but that was 3 years ago. Okay? Even Rodrigo Nascimento gave him trouble, and he was able to withstand it. But for Talishon Teixeira, he's going to want to be striking. He's going to want to keep the distance, and I could be the doubter and pick Talishon Teixeira, but as I look through my predictions, I think I have picked every single favorite to win on this entire card, which is no way going to happen, which means we've got to get spicy for the final prediction. Now, are we going to go with the young buck 15 years younger in Talishon Teixeira, who just knocked out a man earlier this year in 35 seconds? Or are we going to pick the 40-year-old Texan with the most KOs in UFC history? You best bet you we're picking Derek Lewis. Hell yes, we are picking Derek Lewis. No way I'm going against my boy here. There's just no way. I got to ride with Derek Lewis. I think, I show a bit of loyalty at times to people. And to Derek Lewis, I got to be loyal to him, man. I really do. I don't even remember last time I picked against him. Maybe the Halton Almeida fight? Maybe. I don't know. But Derek Lewis by round 1 knockout. I think Talishon just gets clipped. I think Talishon gets clipped. Maybe if this goes to round 2, he gets gassed out. We get a round 2 Derek Lewis knockout. I can really see that happening. But Derek Lewis has to survive the early onslaught. This guy's never gone past 4 minutes. I do want to say this guy's never gone past 4 minutes in his career. He's never gone past round 1. And what we have seen in the past is when that happens to fighters, they gas out when they reach round 2. So we're going to go with Derek Lewis, capitalize on Talishon Teixeira, fending off another guy trying to break into the top 15. Black Beast to end the night. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, those are your UFC Nashville predictions. A lot of people, aren't too hyped about this card. I am super hyped about this card, and I think it is going to be phenomenal. So let me know who you guys are predicting, who you guys are going with, but those are my predictions for all 12 fights. And if there are any last-minute changes, well, we'll have to adjust and see if that happens before I can actually switch my prediction in time. But, following that, rest of July is going to be pretty decent. We then head to Louisiana for UFC 318, get Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier's retirement fight. Paulo Costa and Roman Kopylov is the co-main event. Kevin Holland is back in action. Dan Ige fights Patricio Pitbull. Marvin Vettori, Brendan Allen. Kyler Phillips, Vincius Oliveira. Francisco Prado back in action. Ateba Gaudier back in action. Jimmy Crute takes on Marcino Prachinio. Ryan Spann takes another run at heavyweight. And Bruno Ferreira is back at middleweight. This card is looking very good. And then where do we end July with? Something I can't believe I'm going to get for free on ABC, and that is Whitaker versus De Ridder in Abu Dhabi. I mean, this is an insane card. This card is insane. Bryce Mitchell, Saidy Nurmagomedov, Petr Yan, Marcus McGee, Nikia Krylov, Bogdan Guskov, Sharda Magomedov, Marc-Andre Baliuch, Mozafar Evloev Pico, and Robert Whitaker, Rainer De Ridder. How is that free on TV, but I got to pay for UFC 318? I don't know. But that's all we got for today's episode. Episode 204. Wow, almost at episode 205. We'll have to see when we get to that. But yes, those are all my predictions for UFC Nashville, for all the WWE PLE cards we have going up. Next time I see you, we'll recap all of that. Jurassic World Rebirth, wait till it's on DVD. Don't go to the theater and see it. I'm just going to tell you, it doesn't even feel like you're like a big screen type of movie. So, it's all the rundown on the Surprise Chef podcast for today. But, guys, go out, have an amazing weekend, make it an amazing July. If you're going through bad times, those bad times are going to pass and good days are going to be ahead. It all starts in your mind. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll catch you next time on the Surprise Jab podcast.